Welcome back, chameleons, to my channel of AspieAnswers as your host, AspieAnswers, as well as author, content creator, podcaster, merch supplier, and more. I post videos of mental health and navigating through life with autism, ADHD, and the like, along with some fun and games along the way. So basically, if you want to subscribe, feel free to do so on the bottom of the screen and turn on the notification bell. Just gonna give you guys a quick heads up what's been happening, because obviously you've noticed I've been missing in action for quite some time based on my YouTube channel, especially since usually I post Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I apologize for the hold up for some of you who are anticipating waiting on what's going on, but obviously here I am now in the flesh trying to share with you all based on what's happening, because obviously things are changing this year so much. It was so funny, especially what's been going down. So the very first thing that has been happening, obviously, as of late, based on what's happening in 2024 for me anyways, is that the so-called English boyfriend you may have seen currently on my channel a few times here and there with the travel vlogs, eating with Aspie series, and so on and so forth. We went separate ways earlier this year, and obviously we're still on talking terms and we're still sorting things out at this current point of time, despite what's going on, despite the distance. So I'm just very fortunate we still can be able to have that open communication line, because as we know, communication is obviously very important when it comes down to the very thing of a relationship, as well as all these other features. So next one on the list, obviously you've noticed I've done a book reading event just recently. If you haven't, I suggest you just watch the other short video. I've done that one in Pumstle City Library. Obviously, as you may have seen, I'm going to hopefully do a second part to it, time dependent, before I do my second book reading event that's coming up so quickly as of Monday next week of the 23rd of September, because obviously I was also just recently in the Chronicle paper here locally where I am at in New Zealand, and they did some bad typos. Well, it wasn't on my part, apparently, what the person who interviewed me said, because I gave the wrong date. So if anyone's interested in the area, feel free to support me on this so I can branch out more about what I would love to do, so on and so forth in that front also. And in saying this, I did email to amend the typo errors that was in last week's paper. Right, I was in the paper, I said, basically, and this is on page 16. Basically, this is me based on my article. Obviously, that's one of my milestones so far as a content creator, author, and all that. That's autism and ADHD related. I'm hoping to still spread my wings and dip my toes into mental health side of things, but I've just been warned to tread carefully, especially if I want to do some of the stuff based on my branding on autism, mental health, and ADHD, so on and so forth, because obviously don't want to get into too much of a firing line, so on and so forth. With that book reading event, or shall we say more so the photos that people were questioning me, if it was me. Yes, it was me, because obviously I had someone professionally taking the photos last year during the time while I was doing my book. And also in saying that, I had someone on board to do my makeup professionally, so on and so forth. But then again, I'm not sure if I can find someone that might be able to kindly do it again this time around. Who knows? But hey, but like I said, I'm just pushing out there as much as possible to hopefully reach to you readers alone, if you're into more so, as I said, reading. So in saying this, also as a heads up, based on this book of my second book, especially Love Life Aspie, is in an ebook format, as I mentioned in one of my videos. If I haven't, well, I'll find the link and link it up for you guys so that you can find it on Amazon if you're interested. It's an ebook to read. And the other one is obviously, as it reads in the article, Navigating Life's Journey as an Autistic, or Aspie as such. And then I'll link that up too, so it gives you an option, because obviously at the moment with this as part of this project of my writing at this point of time, I'm also thinking about, and saying this, to do it as an audiobook format, fingers crossed, depending. I'm not sure if you guys want it as an AI format or just me in the natural flesh like voice as I am, let me know in the comment section below, because it's all about you guys trying to give back as much as I can to the autistic community, especially, basically, or just people in general that's just interested in getting to know me, or just someone like me. Just remember also, as a heads up, not all autistics are the same. I can't stress this enough, because obviously there are 3 different types of autisms. I've mentioned that so many times in the videos in the past, so if you want to look into it, feel free to visit my, playlist, but I think it's somewhere along autism and speech syndrome playlist. And in saying this, also based on the book journey so far, also based on my ideal, I was thinking on a comic strip ordeal, or even just animated up with the puppet, obviously that puppet you may have seen on the very first book, the playlist of my first book, Everyday Life of an Aspie, or what have you. And on also saying this, also it may take time and funding in that, because obviously tidying up loose ends based on my funding pages, versus also in saying this, I'm looking into avenue of some funding outside to what I'm doing right now on the founding routes, so I can get all my other projects up and running, because like I said, I'm really wanting to push myself as much out there as possible as an autistic locally here where I am in New Zealand, because obviously, as I said so many times before, there's small resources lying around based on autism and what have you, and that I feel the need that we need to push on. And it also goes for the ones on the autistic community, if they're brave enough to share the lived stories and experiences like I am right now doing on the camera, and also just recently, as said, in the book reading event. I'm hoping also in saying this that I've been working so hard on my website of my AspieAnswers.com, which I'll link in the bottom of the screen so you can pop in to visit and see that at this point in time in the works behind the scenes as I'm talking to you today will be that little animated puppet popping up talking about briefly. It's about the book, well, not about it too much, but just a quick little mini advert situation, because as I said, I want to see if you guys want it to be up and about sometime, to make it as interactive as possible, because I know now again we're coming into the future of AI versus puppets and 3D animation and all that, so I've been dabbling into that at the moment, trying to envision basically what it will look like if I was to do it in a AI 3D world of animation, since I'm enjoying that at the moment. Also, in saying that, basically there's some loose ends, as I said, tidying up my site right now, and obviously I noticed that the donation page has disappeared, obviously, because obviously behind the scenes I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to go about it, versus also in saying this is like also linking up my merch store properly and tidying up my merch store, because obviously next year my goal is, in Autism Acceptance Month, is releasing maybe 3 new designs, possibly 4, give or take, depending where my motor will take me for those designs that I'm hoping to do. And in saying this, also basically I'm doing all I can out there, because obviously as of late, when I've been talking to people on the autistic community group that I'm in, that is in New Zealand, there has been a bit of a controversial topic floating around, and I am fully aware about this. Many people don't like jigsaw puzzle pieces as a symbolism or what have you that represents them. That's fine, because as I was trying to say, even though the admin in the group I'm in took my words away, because I was about to share the reasons why I decided to put the jigsaw puzzle pieces into my perspective, which basically, to me, I thought it would be a great representation for myself, because as we know, before, during and after the process of getting a diagnosis can be a lonely one, and saying that with all these other diagnoses, as I said before, for us it interlaps or overlaps within itself, and it's just putting the pieces together, making you whole again, even if it still looks like those rigged edges of the jigsaw puzzle pieces, so on and so forth. But you may be able to see, hopefully, depending on where I'm at with my medias, like my Coffee, Patreon and all that, if you were kindly going to donate to the cause of what I'm doing, based on what I'm doing, is that I've tried to incorporate the design concept of bearing in mind what someone said about the jigsaw puzzle piece, because obviously I thought it was me, you know, the branding and that. And like I said, I would love to try and help as many people as I can. And obviously I can't always please everyone. No one can, obviously. Everyone has their own individual ideas, concepts versus everything else, you know, and it's a matter of just hoping to respect one another and actually accept one another still, regardless of these key differences. But I feel like sometimes, for me, obviously, I feel like I'm getting slapped on the knuckles for it time and time again. And saying that, also, basically, I've got some other projects hopefully coming up after the tidying up of my loose ends of the website. This is my puppet that's going to pop up onto that website, and so on and so forth. But I'm hoping that if any one of you have actually came to visit AspieAnswers.com, how did you feel about that little puppet that I just had in there? That's just 11-second video that you just click play, that says briefly what I'm all about based on my branding. Is it too invasive or more so intrusive, or do you want it fully off? Because like I said, I would like to try and see if I can do that, because next stop shop is, like I said, hopeful if I can do it, if I've got the energy, is doing some animation work based on comic strips and that, based on my lived story, or even just everyday topics that autistics faces in this day and age. Because as we know, that I feel sometimes still that there's been so many misunderstandings and what have you based on people that are on the autism spectrum, so on and so forth. But I'm just hoping that we can band together and actually share our lived experiences and stories, like I've seen on some of the bigger YouTubers that I've been following on YouTube, Instagram, and all these other sites that I caught my eye thinking, do I want to do it or not? You know, it's not just for the sake of my diagnosis of autism, it's just hoping to just navigate through life and actually understanding myself more about self-discovery, self-worth, and everything, like many others too, under the guise of autism and all these other diagnoses I've got. So this is all I can think of right now of what I have to share with you all based on what I've been up to. I know there's probably a fair bit more to come of me in future, but as said, also that one of the support team thinks I should try and get on board with the local library and the Carpet Reading, which I haven't still heard back from them. So hopefully the person, please slow down a bit so I can spread my wings. Because also in saying this, also I forgot to add, based on my book reading situation, maybe next year, give or take, I'll go into my old school and maybe some schools here locally where I am. I don't know yet. We'll just have to see if the schools wants to do it, because like I said, I'm wanting to also create some services next year for people, be it coaching young ones to about teens about their autism and stuff, so they know they're not alone. And I'm saying this also for another service I'm hoping to provide next year once I get it up and running, is maybe some online courses for adults, teachers and carers to understand what autism is all about, so that we can gain a better understanding and so on and so forth. So if you're into any of that, let me know, because like I said, I'm just hoping to pan out what's the most common trend for also parents and carers based on when they're looking after an autistic child, give or take, of what's maybe needs to be addressed, so on and so forth. Because like I said, we shouldn't have to travel alone, and we should be able to find our tribe who we can relate to, and so on and so forth. So, and all for the guys, thanks for watching. And hopefully in this video or not, I'll link up another video. But if not, see the previous video of my book reading event. As I said, part 2 of the first book reading event will most likely to be delayed a little bit as well, while I'm being fluttering about doing my other bits and pieces that is coming in the works of my projects. But keep an eye out for me on my socials, be it Instagram and what have you, and whatever else you may have followed me on, so that you can travel with me of what's to come, because I'm praying and hoping this journey will open up more avenues of what's to come for me anyways. And I need to brave out in the big wide world, hopefully, to share my lived experiences, be it here in New Zealand or worldwide, or whatever this future will take me for this journey. So no further ado, guys, do what you love what you do. Until next time, Aspie signing out, and I'll see you again soon. Ciao for now.